Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to the Town Board Work Session for November 22nd, 2022. Wishing everyone an early, happy Thanksgiving. If you could all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Why don't we have Chief Noble? Why don't you come up and lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. And if we could just stand for a moment of prayer, again, with Thanksgiving upon us, as we are reminded of the power of gratitude as our Interfaith Council taught us at their interfaith service this past weekend. We, of course, want to keep in our thoughts and prayers all of our first responders this weekend. Of course, all of the military personnel, men and women defending our freedoms, fighting overseas, who can't be with their families this Thanksgiving. We keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And I also ask for a moment of silence as we pray for those who were tragically killed this past weekend in Colorado, who were targeted because of their LGBTQ status. And we pray for them, their families during this very difficult, horrifying time. Thank you.
Amen.
All right, we'll start with our introductions. To my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Tom Diana, Deputy Supervisor, Councilman.
Matt Slater, Town Supervisor.
Councilman Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Councilman.
Councilwoman Luciana Howitt. Happy Thanksgiving.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements. As a reminder, the annual Turkey Trot is taking place this year off of Front Street, hosted by State Senator Terrence Murphy. All of the proceeds going to supporting United for the Troops, going to support St. Mary's Food Pantry and St. John's Food Pantry up in Mayapack. I just want to take a moment and just really express how important our food pantries are this year, as they are every year, but particularly this year. They've seen a significant increase in demand last weekend. Both the First Presbyterian Food Pantry and the St. Mary's Food Pantry had more than 500 families come to their churches to receive food for the holidays. And so we've seen a consistent and steady increase in demand for those with food insecurity. And again, the proceeds from the Turkey Trot that Senator Murphy hosts every year going to support St. Mary's, St. John's, and of course United for the Troops, which, as we've said time and time again, does a great job sending care packages to our military personnel serving overseas. Our Route 118 culvert project has been once again delayed now to December 9th. I just, and Councilman Sergio Esposito mentioned this last week, but we do have our restaurant down there, Nadine's, that is open. White Oak Farm, if you're looking for a great Christmas tree this year, go up to White Oak Farm in Bryhart. They get them straight from Canada, and also make sure you pick up some of his phenomenal honey. But White Oak Farm remains open. We know it's an inconvenience, and we're hoping that, again, December 9th, that project concludes. I also just wanted to remind everyone, because this is my last chance we'll be able to, that the Holiday Lights Parade is scheduled for Saturday, December 3rd, right here down Front Street, ending over at Veterans Field, where we light the Christmas tree. Always a great time, and we hope that the weather continues to hold out for us. And then the last thing is on December 4th, there's a planned active shooter drill by the Yorktown Police Department happening here at Town Hall. We are looking for volunteers to participate, and so if anyone's interested, please contact my office at 914-962-5722, extension 200, and please speak with my assistant, Jenna Belcastro, if you're willing to help our police department in this effort. With that, before we go on to business, there is a piece of business that we have to take care of here. And I'm going to invite Chief Noble and his wife Elena up to the podium just for a quick second. Yes, Elena. Gotcha. And And I just wanted to take a moment of our time here at the town board, and my colleagues here on the town board, I know attended a dinner this past weekend. And the dinner was the Westchester Blue Foundation's annual dinner. And the Vanguard Award at the dinner was given to none other than Yorktown's Chief of Police, Robert Noble. And we want, absolutely, let's give him a big round of applause. And the Vanguard Award is, and I'm not going to read the whole proclamation here, but it's bestowed upon a law enforcement officer who continuously demonstrates true leadership, guidance, empathy, and holds true to the ideals consistent with the mission of Westchester Blue. And this is quite the prestigious recognition, but really for all of us who get to work with Chief Noble on a daily basis and interact with him on a daily basis, it comes as no surprise. Chief Noble, as I've said in the past, and I will continue to say it every single day, Chief Noble is, in my opinion, the best chief of police in the state of New York, leading the best police department in the state of New York. And I just wanted to take a moment out of our deliberations here to recognize the chief. We had his police award ceremony and civilian award ceremony. He likes to give them out, but it's great to finally be able to recognize him and give to him. And so I just want to take a moment to present to you on behalf of the town board a proclamation recognizing your achievements as chief of police, recognizing the Westchester Blues Vanguard Award, and just a big thank you on behalf of the town of Yorktown. The chief has been a true friend for me personally, a great mentor for me personally. I'm going to miss the New Year's Day phone calls about vandalism throughout town that he started my tenure with. But in all honesty, I couldn't ask for a better partner in the chief. He's been just a tremendous leader in our community. The police department is a reflection of you, and that's why it continues to be seen as the best in the state, being recognized by the state of New York time and time again, and also our community being recognized as one of the safest mid-sized communities in America twice now since I've been here as the town supervisor. And so to the chief, just a big thank you for all you do for our community. Congratulations. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. My kids and my wife. We were down. We went to see the Rockettes. Actually, I didn't know we had tickets, but so I got to spend some quality time with the family. But congratulations! I couldn't think of anybody else more deserving of the Vanguard Award than you, sir. So I just want to take time to say thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You guys want to say a few words before they give the mic over to the chief?
Sure. Bob, as always, it's a pleasure dealing with you and your department. You do a hell of a job there, along with these fine men and women that are under your command. And keep up the good work, because these guys out there on the street are, and it's all your fault.
Thank you.
You know, a true leader is only as strong as a team they could build behind them, and you've done a fantastic job. And talking to other commissioners and chiefs throughout the county, there's a lot of envy, and it's well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the event was absolutely fantastic, and there was almost 600 people there, and it was well deserved. And I got to tell you, getting to know you more and more since I've been on the town board, I'm just more and more impressed. And Elena, you keep him in line, because we really know what's going on here, and the who's behind the scenes. So to the both of you, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I guess everything they said, right? I do want to recognize the fact that you live within the community, that you're also serving the community, and that you keep beautiful boundaries and respect not only for the police department, which you lead, but also your own personal life. And I think that your children are an example of your leadership.
Oh, thank you.
And I admire how both of you have parented, and the amount of integrity and discipline and loyalty that you offer them, and the enormous amount of kindness and awareness. And I know that that is part of what's given to our community, not only what you have done with the police department, not only for what you stand for and are being recognized here, but also what you have personally invested in this community. And I just want to thank you both, because as someone who wants to serve the community and someone who also wants to be the best role model I can possibly be. I look forward to learning how to sit in really hard places, how to sit in conflict, how to understand, and also still lead with my gut. And I think you do that every single day. Yeah. So I just want to thank you for that.
Does a great job. And I want to apologize. Sergio brought up a very important person here, and that's Elena. And I got to tell you, whether you're the chief of police or an elected official, anyone who serves in public knows that you have to have a great partner at home. And I know my wife wishes she could be here, Elena, because I know how much she adores you. But thank you for supporting him. Thank you for giving him to us, because I know how much he spends, how much time he spends here or over at headquarters or wherever it may be. And know that your sacrifices are well recognized as well, but also your commitment to our community is also as well recognized too.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Chief, any words?
Yeah, real quick. I can't thank you enough for the kind words and the proclamation. And what you said about Elena, I think Jenna's working on a proclamation for me to give Elena. I don't know where she went.
That's why she's upstairs printing it.
Yeah, because nothing for me happens without her. I mean,
right.
I enjoy going, when I do get to go home to work, I enjoy going home every day and being with her. I mean, we've got 3 beautiful kids, as you had said. And, the end of my day is so nice to go to, and it's also nice, you got Officer Gilbert back there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can honestly say, I'm probably on the back 9 of my career, and I enjoy going to work every day. I mean, the men and women that work at that police department, I enjoy being around them. And it was nice at the event that so many of them came out.
Yeah.
I think I had close to half the department there, and it was just nice watching them enjoy each other. And that's what they do out in the community for the Yorktown community. They all like each other and rally around each other, and they do a tremendous job, in the town of Yorktown. So I am blessed to work with just amazing men and women at Yorktown PD. This is their award. It's not mine. I mean, you surround yourself with good people, and good things happen. And you guys, I've been around. I'm closing in on 30 years, and I've seen certain town board members cut the legs out from their chief or compromise his ability to lead during my my time. And you guys haven't done that. And we've worked our way through COVID, Executive Order 203. I mean, you name it.
Yep.
We've worked our way through it. And you got a guy sitting at that table, Adam Rodriguez, who has just been a tremendous resource and does a fantastic job for me. He always picks up the phone when I need him, and he's aces as well. And I know he gives you guys great advice too. So I don't want to leave him out. And that's who am I leaving out, babe?
I think you're good.
And that's it then. But thanks for coming up here with me tonight. I am, we just were married 30 years, and
awesome.
That's the reason why I enjoy going to work too. I am crazy about this girl, and I thank her for coming up. All right, so that's it. Thank you. Should I come up and get my?
Yeah, come here. Let's go out to the chief and give him a.
He's a hopeless romantic with a gun. I love it.
Hugging it out?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Picture?
This way? Yeah. This way? Yeah. This way? Okay. Director over here. Lana, you're right in there.
Get over here.
A little bit more.
All right, back up this way. Back up. Huddle.
Perfect.
Hey.
Gee, I'm not gonna hug people. Like, what's gonna?
Yeah, just move the microphone.
Everyone's all like, professional.
I don't want to break it.
It's gonna be Italian. Hey, Chief. Say different things like turkey, lollipop, Lego.
My kid like chicken.
Okay.
Chicken?
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
I'll use that next time.
It works.
I think my husband goes, don't smile.
All right. Thank you for your indulgence. Councilman Diana, you had one more thing to add?
Yeah, just wanted to add the the shrub oak tree lighting December 10th. It's in addition to the electric light parade and tree lighting. It'll be the 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the library. We put that tree up in October, and it's doing well. It's ready to be sparked up. So
It looks great. Done a great
yeah, it's
job
looking
with that.
good. And I'll tell you what, the American flags really adorn it at this point. And we also lit up the poles all across the front of the library. So
Great.
we gave East Main Street a little bit of love.
Awesome. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Okay, and with that, we will start our agenda. We're going to welcome Eric Young regarding 2035 Sawmill River Road. Eric, come on up, my friend. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
We're doing great, thank you. So, how are we looking at over at the gas station?
So we're gonna upgrade the image, get downlighting, light up the ground, but it's not gonna face the road. So there's gonna be structures over the pumps just for signage. And there's gonna be three. They're called waves. Gonna go over the pumps. Yeah. Sorry, it's my first time.
All right.
You're doing fine.
Oh, the mobile station.
This is the mobile station right at the Four Corners.
Yes.
Yep. Now, do you know, not to cut you off, but do you know, originally there was a concept for the building itself. Are they still planning on going through with that? You have any idea?
The only thing I have right here is for the structures above the pumps and the upgrade on the canopy.
Okay. So you're not able to discuss the actual building itself.
No, not at this time.
Okay. All right. You guys have any questions regarding?
No, I've seen the new signs on other mobile stations that have been updated. They look pretty cool. I like the way they look. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been in front of us for quite some time.
It has. I know that you've been through, or the application's been through ABACA, it's been through planning, it's been through our departments. John Tegeter is here, I believe, right? John,
Sure.
You want to come up to the podium and provide any additional thoughts on this?
Monument signs?
Well, no, they're not doing a sign. Eric, there's nothing on the sign, right? Are you doing anything on the sign?
The
No,
sign
right?
staying
It's
as
just
is.
the canopy and the pumps.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing on the sign there. John, anything you want to add?
Really nothing to add. Are you going to approve it tonight? Or
I mean,
resolution?
I want to see how the board feels.
Okay.
If the board's ready, then we can.
My only question was what you had asked before about the larger projects.
Right, which he's not here to discuss and doesn't have. He's only here for the canopy and the pumps. So, but knowing that, I mean, do you guys feel
I don't have a problem with it.
comfortable moving ahead?
I'm comfortable.
Been a long time on this project.
Do it.
John, you don't have a printout of that resolution, do you? The approving resolutions that that were sent over.
From the original project? From the larger project?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Not with me, no.
No. Okay. All right, Mr. Rodriguez. Anything on your end? Anything you want to go with that one resolution that we saw, or do you want to just do a simple resolution for approval?
No, I think we need to do just a simple resolution.
Because the other one has it all in.
Because the other one included the
Several other issues.
that
Yeah,
we're
that
not,
we're
here
not
to
addressing
discuss.
right now.
So
Yep.
we'll just make a motion to approve the proposed canopy and gas pump enhancements for the mobile station located again at 2035 Sawmill River Road.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank
Go
you.
forth and conquer, my friend.
Hey, you did great for your first time, man.
Great
Did
job.
great. Well done, Eric.
Beard
Well
gate.
done. Okay, Mr. Weingarten, excuse me. Mark, come on up regarding 800 East Main Street.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members
Good
of
evening.
the board. Mark
Good evening.
Weingarten, on behalf of AMS. We're here this evening. We've made some presentations to you in the past, so we were asked not to go through the full presentation.
No.
As you know, our clients are the contract vendees on 800 East Main Street. They have a proposal before you to build or to attempt to build 250 multifamily residences, luxury nature.
They are all types and classes of multifamily and for sale. There are townhomes and there are also villas and apartments. We're really at a technical reason for being here tonight. What we're seeking is really to start the process. We're asking you to accept the application that you have before you, to declare your intent to be lead agency in the secret process so the 30-day clock for that can start. We're asking you to refer out the application to all of the implicated, interested and involved agencies so they can take a look and see if they want to dispute being the lead agency, which is their right under law, but that we don't expect that to happen. And then we would also ask if you would refer it officially pursuant to Section 300-206 of your zoning code to the planning board so we can start the review process with the planning board. So again, this is just the start of the process. It's very technical and in the substance of that. But you do have our full petition before
Yes, we do.
you, and you have all the exhibits that go with it that explain what the request is.
Any questions from the town board? We've seen this several times. We've seen some great presentations. Your team's done a great job getting this ready for this point.
We did have them in front of the conservation board on last Wednesday.
Yeah, that was I think a preliminary review.
Look-see.
This will be we're going to officially accept the petition, and we'll officially refer out to all agencies today.
We have an EAF. Yeah. Diana, you have an EAF?
Yes.
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 Any questions?
No.
No. So then we'll accept the petition. I'll make a motion.
Second.
For the town board intent to be lead agency.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and
refer it out.
And we're also going to make a motion to refer out the application to all departments and agencies.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Mm-mm.
All right.
Terrific.
You're
Thank
off
you
and
very
running.
much. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, Steve Tyree, 3451 Crampon Road. This is another gas station tank and canopy permit application. Mr.
Thanks.
Tyree, how you doing
Thanks.
today?
Good. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for seeing me again. I'm hoping I'm going to wrap things up with your team tonight. We're prepared to begin the project. John and his team have been working with us and been very helpful as we're cooperating with the town's requests.
Great.
A couple things on the table that we're asked about was to build a new trash enclosure, limit the number of parking spots, submit them to the town, and we've gone through that approval process. We're also adding in an asphalt overlay that was requested, repairing some old fencing on the old Crampon Road side of the property, and then replacing some shrubs in the front of the building. I think everything's been submitted and everything's been reviewed. John's given us the resolution that we need to prepare and execute. And I think, John, you got the EAF. So I think we're all set. We've agreed with everything, and we're ready to proceed sometime after Christmas with the tank replacement portion of it.
And it was going to be a canopy or prepare for a canopy?
Yep.
Right.
The canopy will be prepared, and then in the spring, I guess, some plantings and the asphalt, unless we get lucky with the weather, which I'm not hopeful of before then.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a parking issue there, and that we want to address that, and I believe that was going to be done through a site plan. Am I correct on that, John?
It was all done. Sorry.
John, you want to come up? John Tegeter, Director of Planning.
Yeah, that's very important.
Right, so there's a site plan in the package which shows the parking. One of the conditions is to put some type of barrier or fence at the rear of those so there's no parking on the grass behind. You will have now a site plan that you can enforce. The overlay and the new striping and landscaping will dress up the site. So you're going a little bit further than just a tank replacement and a new canopy project. You're actually cleaning up the site all the way up until stopping right before you're actually redoing the building. Okay, That'll be next.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, I drove past it the other day, and there was just cars parked. It's a disaster. It's gonna get fixed.
It's over on December 26th. We're going to be shutting the place down and doing what we have to do now.
Great.
Which I'm sure everybody's looking forward to. And thank you for helping us through the process.
Any other questions? Any other questions from the town board?
Nope.
The only question for the town board that we have a approving resolution. Do you want to do it tonight, or do you want to do it at our next town board meeting?
Why wait?
Yeah.
This has been a long time in the works.
Yeah, this
I agree.
Clerk,
that's
any
right, Ed.
issues?
Getting where we.
It is quite a lengthy resolution. All right, so we're just I'll give this resolution over to the clerk's office.
He already sent it.
Oh, he has it, do you? Great. So then I'm just going to read now, therefore be it resolved by the town board that except for the requested waivers for the proposed gas station, the proposed gas station complies with both the general and specific special permit criteria, and be it further resolved that the Gulf Station, having shown good cause for the grant of the requested waivers as listed herein are hereby granted, and be it further resolved that the application for the proposed special permit, stormwater pollution prevention plan, and wetland permit is granted, subject to the following conditions. There shall be no new or used car sales, automobile repair, and maintenance shall be confined to the 3-bay garage on the property. And the stormwater pollution and prevention plan must be reviewed by and modified, if required, by the town to the town engineer's satisfaction. Any proposed modifications must be forwarded in writing to the town board for review and acceptance by the town board. The applicant modify the lighting plan to include all light sources existing and proposed to the satisfaction of the town board, and all proposed and existing lighting shall comply with Chapter 200, entitled Lighting of the Town Code, and be fully shielded. The applicant must submit a signage plan for all signs to the town board for approval. The applicant must submit a full set of architectural plans showing the branding and signage treatments on all structures, including the canopy, to the town board for approval. The applicant must submit revised landscape plans proposing sufficient landscaping in the front yard setbacks for approval by the town board. And the applicant must submit a plan detailing the site alterations, including overlaying the existing asphalt paving and new striping, refuse enclosure relocated to an appropriate location and constructed of suitable materials, modification or elimination of light poles that cause excess light spillage in contradiction of the lighting code, replacement of the chain link fence at the rear of the existing building to a type and design to the satisfaction of the town board, refurbishment of the corrugated guardrail at the eastern boundary of the asphalt pavement area, a barrier or fence acceptable to the town board at the western boundary of the pavement area, and the applicant shall provide a final site plan set for signature by the town supervisor. And be it further resolved that unless a building permit is obtained within 1 year of this adoption, this resolution, this approval shall become null and void. Everything that you understand it, sir?
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Then we'll make a motion.
Motion.
Moved.
I got the neg deck on here next. Yeah, I got the neg deck. I'll do the neg deck. All right. I was opening one at a time. Jeez. So we'll make a motion to accept the negative declaration for SECRA on this particular project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now, John Tegeter, back to the resolution that I had said. We have a motion.
Motion.
Can you reread it?
I'm not rereading it. You can reread it in your sleep. We have a motion.
Second.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sir, you're all set.
Thanks very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving to
Thanksgiving.
Now clean it up. That's what I want to see. I'm
Jeez.
excited. I am excited.
Man, the peanut gallery is in full force today. All right, let's go with so we got Toll Brothers at Catherine Street. Joe Rena and his team coming on up. How we doing?
Good. Good to see everybody.
You too.
Good
Same
evening,
here.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. David Cooper, partner
Great
with
to
law
see
firm
you,
Zarin
Dave.
and Steinmetz.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
Good. How are you? Here representing Toll Brothers. That's the contract vendee to purchase a 50.51 acre portion of the Field Home Holy Comforter property along Catherine Street, with the ultimate goal to redevelop it with a 118 unit active adult townhome community. With me tonight is Kevin Moses and Rob Dowd from Toll Brothers, as well as Joe Rena. The
Never
applicants.
met Joe Rena
Yes,
before.
yeah. It's an old joke at this point. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it right now. But yes, you know Joe well. We are here for procedural steps. It seems tonight is a procedural night for your
it
board,
is.
so we'll fit right in. But we are just here to really get the ball rolling. Last week, we submitted a petition to rezone the site from the RSP3 and R140 district, it's a split district, into the RSP2 district to accommodate the development.
Before we can get the ball rolling, what we are asking your board to do is a couple of steps that are necessary. One, accept the petition and begin the review. To refer it over to the planning board, your planning board for report and recommendation, as well as refer it out to the county planning department. And probably most important, at least from our perspective, is to declare your intent to serve as lead agency for secret purposes. We did submit an EAF with a long part 3 with some supplemental reports, a traffic report, a fiscal analysis, a couple of other bits of information. Of course, any other studies that your board or anybody else in the town needs, of course, we're going to provide. But we want to get the ball rolling and start working with whomever is going to serve as the lead agency. We submit that your board is the most appropriate, since the threshold issue here is the rezoning. But we needed to figure out who's going to be that lead agency. So we'd ask that your board at least declare its intent tonight. We've given presentations before. You have your packet. Happy to go through anything you'd like, but because it's only procedural tonight, we don't really have a presentation unless you'd like us to.
I don't think it's
No, I don't
needed.
think I need
No, we're good.
Any questions from the town board?
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the whole soccer field thing. You know how I feel about that. I feel very strongly that the youth in Yorktown, should be placed first. Have you made any inroads with that?
So what we're proposing to do is, is to contribute $100,000 to the Parks and Recreation Department to go towards any improvement projects they've got. That field, by the way, is subject to a lease, which we think expires in 2 years with the current site owner. So it's not actually a field that's going to be in use in perpetuity anyway. We know that it's a practice field, so we think that the contribution will hopefully help another project
or something. Yeah, I recall. I'm a liaison for the Parks and Rec, and so I appreciate you meeting with them and talking to them about that. That was
Yeah, but I just don't think $100,000 is going to cover. How do you replace a field that's going away? And yes, I understand that the lease is not in perpetuity, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't have been renewed in a couple of years.
Where we left it off was our Parks Department was going to give us an estimate on the costs needed. I haven't seen those costs. Have you discussed it with the Parks and Rec Commission?
They just told me that they had discussed it with them,
right?
And they were comfortable with $100,000.
Right. This the amount was after a discussion with the Parks and Rec Department. It's not just a blank check, write it out. Right.
Yeah, I think it was a little lower at first, and then they.
Initially, we proposed 75. They yes.
It was 100. Was it?
I think it was always 100.
No. The initial offer was 75,000.
Yeah, I remember it being a bit lower.
Right, but was that meeting prior to the meeting you had with us where I raised the concern?
No, it was after. It was after. Actually, it's been a little bit of time since we've been before your board.
Yes, it has.
Part of it for due diligence and contract reasons, but also because they wanted to work with Parks and Rec and really get a hold of that issue. So,
I mean, I'm still not comfortable with that. I don't think $100,000 is going to do much of anything as far as replacing something that's utilized. Yes, it is a practice field, but I got to tell you, I'm involved heavily in the youth sport community here, and fields are very, very difficult to come by.
There's no doubt, but I think that what we can do is we can ensure that the Parks and Rec Commission maybe has referred this as part of our review, so this way we can at least keep the conversation going and keep the process moving, and this way they can weigh in on whether or not that $100,000 proposal they can work directly with the applicant on to make sure that it suffices.
And the other thing I would say, Councilman, is take a look at the fiscal report in terms of the other fiscal benefits that would come to the town as a result of this redevelopment.
Oh, I'm aware of it.
And so, right.
No, I know.
Yeah. And so, as part of the process, of course, you're going to be reviewing that. But I think what we think it'll prove out is that that contribution taken in tandem with the tax revenue and the other benefits that the project will yield for the town in whole would certainly outweigh the potential impact of that loss of the field for the practice field.
For some.
Well, for those that need it, yes. I mean, tonight
we're not going to settle.
Right, we're not going to settle tonight,
and that's why I think it's important that we can actually refer it to the Parks and Rec Commission, so the Parks and Rec Commission can work directly with the applicant to make sure that number is the correct number. Because, like you, I recognize and acknowledge the field situation here in town. I'm on them just like you are these days with my kids, and they are at a premium. And so, of course, we want to make sure that if there are any fields that are being eliminated, that we have a plan to either produce or enhance what we currently have to make up for that loss. So, but that's not a part of the deliberations tonight. Tonight is the petition, so that we can start that review process.
And just a quick question: the practice field is part of what you would be buying?
Yes.
Correct. That's correct.
So
Yeah.
they have the
And also, us referring it, I just want to be clear, Adam does not take the discussion off for the field.
No, it just starts the discussion. Is really what.
I'm just,
Yeah, that's really what it does. It starts the discussion, so that we can make sure that the proposal as is sufficient.
Right, because we don't even know if it can be zoned that way yet. This is why we need to refer it.
Well, that's one of the questions on the table. Yes.
No, and I understand that. I just wanted to again raise my concerns about that. But I'm ready for us to start the process together, and then delve into the details, which I'd like to be a part of when you meet with the Parks and Rec Department.
Absolutely. 100%.
Do it.
All right. So,
Awesome.
any other questions or concerns? Anything? No. So we'll accept the petition and we'll offer a motion naming the town board's intent to be lead agency, and we will also have a separate motion to refer out to all departments, including the Parks and Rec Commission, for their review and input.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Great. Good
All
to
set.
see you. See you soon.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
David. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
You too.
Okay. We are moving at warp speed. Joe, you did a great job.
The way you put that picture on screen, unlike anyone else.
It's like you almost knew what you were
Happy
doing up there.
Thanksgiving, Joe.
Have a great Thanksgiving, Joe. Thanks for everything, buddy. Okay. Like I said, I know we're moving at warp speed. Ken, are you okay to jump on, or you want to wait a little bit longer? I don't know if you have more people coming from the MLID.
I don't know if there are more coming. I do need to figure out how to get.
So then you figure that end out on while we go on to resolutions. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds like a plan. So, skipping ahead to resolutions, we're going to authorize the town supervisor to enter into an agreement with the County of Westchester for funding the town to provide senior nutrition services. We're going to authorize the supervisor to execute an extension to the agreement with Lakeland Central School District. This is specifically for the school resource officers through December 31st of 2026. We're going to authorize the town clerk to advertise bid for the police department law enforcement officer training simulator with second officer equipment. This is part, I believe this is part of the ARPA money that we had allocated, and this is part of the active shooter, new active shooter technology that's going to help our police department train for those events. Authorize the town clerk to advertise a public hearing for Homeland Towers, LLC, for a wetland permit for proposed construction of a wireless telecommunication facility at Hill Boulevard in Jefferson Valley. And we're going to authorize the comptroller to process a budget transfer. This is regarding legal services to Bleakley, Platt, and Schmidt. This is for extraordinary legal services. We're going to authorize the comptroller to release the escrow deposits for street opening permit for 3628 Flanders Drive. And we're going to authorize the town board to waive the rental fee in the amount of $312 for the use of the Albert A. Capolini Community and Cultural Center nutrition room. That's going to be used by the Yorktown Lions Club. And we will authorize the comptroller to release the escrow deposit to Westchester Modular Homes. And that might be the same.
That was for Flanders, right? Yeah.
3628, also for 3628 Flanders Drive. And from personnel, we have one from close. Be it resolved that Michael G. Hecker is hereby appointed temporary water maintenance foreperson, job class code 0610-01 in the Water Department, effective November 28th, 2022, to be paid from Yorktown CSCA salary schedule A, Group 14, Step 1, which is $70,836 annually. Motion?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Nope.
No? We have a motion?
Second.
Second?
Who's
I point at him and you yell second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll wait to get pointed to next time. Then.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay.
Aye.
Motions carry. Thank you.
Before Ken jumps up, I know you mentioned the seniors. Luciana, you were talking to Noreen about these.
Yeah. You can adopt a grandma, grandpa, or just a senior for Christmas. They are accepting gifts. December. What was the date by? Do you
Don't
remember?
the date.
Okay. Well, we'll try to
Senior
post it.
Nutrition's,
Yeah,
center.
at the Senior Nutrition Center. Slippers, blankets, throw blankets, sweaters. Matt has the flyer. Yeah.
Has the flyer.
That is the flyer. Anyway, I just thought it was great. I'm definitely going to bring it to the PTA at our school because I think the kids would like that too.
There you
They
go,
can
Lou.
make them a card and whatnot.
Lou.
So I'm just shouting it out. Okay, so holiday gift collection. You know how you do toys for Tot? Well, let's do blankets for Grandma and Grandpa. At the Yorktown Seniors, there's about 125 seniors, so we don't need to do anything extravagant, but they're looking for fleeces and moisturizing cream, puzzles, books, anything that could be wrapped with a gift bag. And they're collecting everything by December 9th. And if anyone wants to participate, just go ahead and call Noreen. And Noreen at the Senior Center, and her number is 914-962-7447. That's 914-962-7447. So let's not forget about our seniors during the holidays.
Very good. All right, and with that, we have a great contingency from the northwest corner of Yorktown. Hey, how you doing, Randall? The MLID, Mohegan Lake Improvement District, and we're going to turn it over to Ken Belfer to provide a presentation about all the great things that y'all are doing up there.
Hey, thank you. We've been in front of the town board before, but I don't think we've ever tried to give a real full presentation about what we're doing and, most importantly, where we want to go. So that's what this is about. And I have a number of people from the board of MLID and from various beach associations around the lake. There's something like 1,800 tax parcels that make up the Mohegan Lake Improvement District, and about 250 of those are in the town of Cortland. The balance of them are in the town of Yorktown. So this is a two-town tax district. That's a map of the lake there that shows the 7 active beach associations, 6 on the east side of the lake and 1 on the west side of the lake. So this is just what I'm going to go through today, a review of this year, then our short-term plans, long-term plans, and then what we would like to see come from the town. We've been doing probably since, I don't know, maybe the 1940s, but certainly many, many decades, copper treatments, generally copper sulfate, in order to control blue-green algae blooms so that the lake remains desirable for recreational use. This year we started earlier than ever before, and we also introduced a new product that we had never used before called EarthTech. The reason for the new product, it uses less copper. Copper accumulates in the sediment. If we had our way, we wouldn't use it at all, but we wouldn't have a usable lake if we didn't right now. But long-term plan to get away from it. But EarthTech uses less copper and is allegedly more effective because it stays in the water column longer rather than just sinking down into the sediment very quickly. This was the treatments we did this year. Without going into any of the detail of it, let me just say that the total cost was a little over $41,000. That's pretty much half of our tax revenue annually for the district. So we're pouring a lot of money into very short-term, basically treating symptoms. This year we had, many believe, the best water quality we've had in quite a while. That's a picture from August 28th from Mohegan Highlands Beach, Randall. And you could see the water looks pretty darn clear in that picture. Well, guess what? The beaches were actually closed to swimming by the health department at that very time, and we'll get into that. But just accepting for a moment that we had the best water quality. I'm not saying good water quality or great water quality. I'm saying best comparatively. Why? And I have to answer, we don't really know. I wish we did. We know what was different The drought happened this year. We had very little rainfall over
Mhm.
much of the summer, which means less
Different
stormwater runoff coming into the lake, which means less new phosphorus coming into the lake. We also used a new treatment, EarthTech, that we were led to believe would be more effective than treatments we've used previously. Was it either of those, both of those, neither of those? I wish we knew.
Do you have any data on the drought in comparative water quality in comparative years? That's an interesting one, because if you have obviously less runoff means less chemicals that are coming from the lawns and into the lake, right?
Yes. So we're going to have to take a hard look at this, comparing rainfall data with water quality data. We have
Laura can do it. It's fine.
We have.
We keep changing. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
But we're gonna.
We have a huge database of information, which is actually online. Anyone can access it. It's the CSLAP data, Citizens Statewide Lake Assessment Program, which Randall has done our CSLAP sampling and reporting for 15 plus years or more.
20 years.
20 years.
I believe it.
And it's on, much of it is on a state website where they have the data for the individual lakes, and then they consolidate data for the whole state. So
do you anticipate using the EarthTech product again, or you just really, you don't know? At this point, it's fine if you don't know. I get it, but
right now, while we're doing other things, we're going to plan to do the same series of treatments that we did this year, next year.
Okay.
We might not do them. We might do something completely different, and I'll get to that. Now, despite that beautiful picture, here's another picture that isn't quite as beautiful. And the issue was, despite having better than average water quality, we still had health department closures of the beaches. They come in the morning to the 2 beaches that file for county health department permits. The morning, even when the water quality is pretty good, is when we tend to have morning blooms that then just completely are gone by noon. If you look at that picture and you look halfway out into the picture, you see the water looks pretty darn clear as you get into slightly deeper water. So this was a morning wind-blown bloom. The wind concentrated some algae that had floated to the surface all the way into this little beach area at Mohegan Beach Park, the famous spot for the day. And if the health department came out and saw that, that's an instant beach closure. And so there were 2 closures, June 28th, and it wasn't reopened until July 13th, and August 23rd, and it was never reopened because after Labor Day they don't monitor any longer.
That sucks.
Some of the things we did is we volunteered and were accepted into a pilot project that was a study of HABs, harmful algal blooms, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria. It's known by a number of names. And there was a company, along with university participation, developing an app to identify automatically what species of blue-green algae you have. Part of the reason for that is that not all species of blue-green algae produce harmful toxins. So when you go out and you see green in the water and you just knee-jerk close beaches, you're not doing it based on any science necessarily, or based on there being a real presence of something harmful at that time. So we participated in this study, and Laura and I were the co-conspirators in this. This is 3 different pictures from 3 different dates. It was very interesting as we watched the species of algae evolve. For any total geeks, that's a Phanozomenon on the left. In the middle, the big blobs are microcystis, the toxin it can produce is microcystin. And the little squiggly things in the middle are Dolichospermum. And then if you go to the picture on the right, which was from October 6th, That most of the dots there are these little dark bean-shaped sort of colonies are Woronachinia, a completely different species, and one that we've been told tends not to produce toxins, and that happened to be the dominant species through August, September, and October. We decided, after seeing this and hearing people say some of these species don't produce toxins, to look at toxins ourselves. Now, why would we take that on ourselves? Because in the past, when the county closed a beach, they did a toxin test right there. They took the sample, they sent it to a county lab, they analyzed it, and they let us know, well, it looked like blue-green algae. We looked at it under a microscope, and we ran a toxin test, and it is, and your toxin level was X. And that's what they used to make closure decisions. Person who handled our case for a number of years from the county retired last year, new person this year, as well as new guidance from the state. And guess what? No more testing, just visual. We see that greenish color in the water, your beaches have to be closed. And then it's a whole process to get them reopened. So because of that, we took on ourselves doing toxin tests. It turns out there's a relatively simple test that's not super expensive, and that a lay person can do. It's not just like a COVID test. It's not quite that simple, although the strip that you see there looks similar to where you see the red line on a COVID test. But it's a multi-step thing where you're pouring things from one vial into another and dropping things in and allowing it time and shaking things up. And but let's say 45 minutes later you get your results. So one of the times that the county health department closed the beach, I think it was August 23rd, I came right back down an hour later, took the sample, ran the test, and then looked at what it showed. All in all, we ran 10 microcystin tests. You see only 9 there, but that's because we did 2 on October 6th, and 3 antitoxin A tests. All of them showed no detectable level of toxin, which we were quite surprised at. The reason we ran 2 on October 6th is we were testing in the same position, the same spot, off of a dock, a certain number of inches below the surface of the water, following a procedure. And on October 6th, we then went to a real surface bloom and did a scoop of a heavy amount of algae in that surface bloom. And we did a second test that day on just that heavy algae bloom. That also was negative. And the particular test we were using does something called lysing the cells. So it opens up the cells of the blue-green algae so that any toxin that's in the cells is actually included in the test. So we were actually quite shocked and quite disturbed that we're coming up with no toxins for this period of time of testing. That's not to say that when there were other species earlier in the season we wouldn't have tested positive or on another day or time, but for these tests we were 10 out of 10 for microcystin. Late in the season we got antitoxin A because that's one of the other toxins that blue-green algae is. It's one of the other ones that tend to be talked about in relation to blue-green algae. So we said, let's try that. And all 3 of those tests were undetectable.
Ken, what's the state's reasoning for going to the visual?
I think they're erring on the side of caution to protect public health.
Yeah, but if they're not running the actual tests, right, and you're showing us tests that are undetectable when it comes to toxic levels.
So they'll run the test to reopen your beach.
Just doesn't seem very scientific to me.
It doesn't seem very scientific to us either.
I mean, you guys are the experts, right? So
it's very frustrating.
So why were you disturbed when you didn't detect toxins?
Because it means that their beach could be open.
Their beach could be open, yeah.
Yeah, they were still closed down.
Oh, at that period, yeah, no, I understand that, but it almost sounded like you were expecting to see it, and
yeah,
yes,
because they closed them for green blue algae bloom.
No, I understand.
Right?
No, I got that. Yeah.
Now, I think in terms of visual, we've been at this long enough that we know when we have a blue-green algae bloom just as well as the health department inspector knows. So, but the question is, are they toxic blooms? and that remains a big question.
So is there any conversation being had right now with I'm guessing you're working with DEC, right?
So you're anticipating the next slide.
So
Look
right
at that.
now, right now the beach is
look at
actually
that.
still
He didn't even
closed.
send it to me beforehand.
Right now the beach is still in a closed status, even though it's past. So how does that affect you next year when the season comes back? Is it still in a closed status, or does it automatically
that
expire?
status goes away when county monitoring ends. Now, the reality of our lake is that the blooms tend to increase over the season, wind up being heaviest normally end of August into September and even October. That's why we've done our microscope work. We did the last one this Tuesday. It might be the last one, or we might do. Last Tuesday. We might do next week. We did Monday. I did Monday myself yesterday. So as long as we're seeing that we still have the microscope on loan that we've been given for this pilot, it does have to go back.
And I'm surprised they don't tell you what eats this bloom. Because I know, like, when I used to work at pools and they would collect certain algae, before I would go to a harsh chemical, there were things that would eat. I mean, if it wasn't cyanuric acid or something of that sort, and it wasn't combustible, it didn't have gases, there were other things that would regulate, that could rebalance.
Well, we actually saw a number of little creatures. Zooplankton consumes algae. And we saw some of those creatures in our microscope study, but using the word eat in a different way, copper sulfate is one of the products that blue-green algae is very sensitive to, so in very low amounts it can, kill the cells.
But one of the other problems is that whatever's going to kill the blue-green algae may also affect a lot of the other things in the lake.
Laurie, just
That's
jump
always
up
You
the
have to
podium.
come up here if you're going to speak.
Just jump up the podium for us.
The guy in the back will
Got it.
yell.
So what I'm saying is, so the lake itself doesn't have like things that are feeding off of this, because you just said that it detected no toxins, right? Which means essentially, when clients used to call me, yes, you can swim in a green pool, right? As long as it's a certain level of algae, you can swim in a green pool. Like, it's not black algae. It's not like, you're not going to get sick. You can swim in a green pool. So I guess what I'm asking is, being that you are looking into the water makeup, there's nothing in our lakes that are like, hey, we could swim in it because we got these little critters that are naturally here eating the bloom, and there's no toxins.
So during the time that we did the measurements, we were seeing no toxins. But as Ken showed, there are different types of blue-green algae that we have in the lake at different times in the year, and next year we'll probably figure out more about some of the other ones may be more likely to produce toxins. And so it's kind of a multi-part system. Just seeing that it's green doesn't tell you anything
Right,
about
exactly.
the toxins.
Right, you can swim in a green lake.
Except that they're going to close your pool. That's what
Except
that's the only thing you
that
say.
they're going to close it.
They're closing you
So,
down.
but you did see plankton that feeds off of that would eat the
zooplankton.
algae. You did detect some sort of plankton in there that does
but
do that.
obviously not quite enough to
I'm sure.
And nothing feeds on the toxin. The toxin dissipates on its own in anywhere from 24 hours to.
On the
week at
algae is
most,
what it feeds
but-
on, right?
But
Ken,
yeah,
what
these
is the
things-
duration of life of this blue-green algae? Is it from as soon as it gets warm until it gets cold, then it goes away?
I've
or-
seen it under the ice. I've seen it in January, but normally, once it gets really cold, like now, it starts to disappear, and then it picks back up. You can see little bits of it in April, and then by late
just
May,
drops.
it starts to pick up, and then by June, it can be really starting to get heavy. That's why we started our treatment May 24th. We fortunately had our permits in place much earlier this year, so we had our contractor on standby. You have to give a 7-day notice to DEC before you can perform a treatment, so we were watching like a hawk to see when there are enough signs of blue-green algae, that's when we'll start the treatments right away, in the hope that getting an earlier start helps keep it under control.
Prevent it, yeah.
And the alum is not an approved or maybe the word isn't approved, but a
Not an allowable
allowable
substance to apply in New York State right now. The state is doing another pilot on one of the Finger Lakes. I think they did it this season, Lake Honeoye. And they still haven't produced the report about the pilot that they did on Mohegan Lake and Peach Lake on alum. So they're very slow in making any decision making about that tool, and I'll get back to that later. But in answer to your question, Matt, so we felt like, hey, armed with some real information, let's have a dialogue. So I started with the New York State Department of Health because I thought, did the county just decide arbitrarily not to do testing, or did the state originally require it and now they don't? I talked to the person at the State Department of Health who was their blue-green algae expert. I had actually seen him give a presentation at a conference we went to a couple of years ago. And he said the guidance is clear. It's close the beaches on a visual to make sure we're protecting public health. So I got it straight from him. I was hoping he would say, oh, no, they're supposed to do this, and then I could say to the county, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to. You're cutting corners. You're trying to save money. But that was the state guidance. So I didn't accomplish anything there other than realizing, okay, if that's their practice, maybe they need to look at whether that's a good practice or not. And we can't be the only one in New York State that's experiencing this, because there's hundreds of lakes, literally, that have problems with blue-green algae.
Sure.
I'm trying to have a dialogue with DEC right now. The person who was there, blue-green algae expert, is leaving, and she hasn't returned my call. She may have now left. So I'm not sure who I'll go on to next if I don't get to have that dialogue. But I wanted to pick her brains because DEC seems to have some more sensible information on some of their web materials about blue-green algae. And last of all, after we find out everything we need to know about the regulatory framework, we want to set up a meeting with people at the county and talk about practices. When our beaches were closed July 1st, they got reopened based on a sample July 13th because the inspector came in the afternoon. So, anyway, this is to be continued, and we hope to see if we can get something, better in place for next year, but we'll see.
Ken, I'm sorry, can I just ask a question? Are you guys alone in this, or is there a consortium of other lake associations?
There is.
There's the New York State Federation of Lake Associations called NYSFOLA. We go to an annual conference. We're members. I talked, among the people we reached out to, I spoke with the director of NYSFOLA about the blue-green algae and beach closures and
Hey, you sound like you're alone on this. That's
Yeah, so, we're not going solo on this, and if it becomes an issue of policy needing to be changed on the state legislative level, well, I know one person I can talk to.
Yes.
But no, we would talk to our senators, state senators, and assembly people. But we're still gathering information, perhaps ammunition, for taking this to the next level.
I mean, I always felt like there needed to be a regional conversation because, especially in the immediate, our part of the Hudson Valley,
so many.
You go to every lake community and they're all dealing with it. And I always felt like it was a missed opportunity because because you guys are so advanced in what you're doing, but you could really help another community that's not nearly where you are, and there could be some real
collaborating.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Best practices. I mean, I don't know if you do that on a more local level.
On an informal level, there's nothing formal through the NYSFOLA conferences.
Right.
We met people from Kirk Lake. I've spoken to people from Lake Peekskill and Oscawana Lake, and spoken to different towns. I've had a lot of dialogue with Warren Supervisor Lucas from North Salem about Peach Lake. So there's been a lot of informal discussions, but nothing
But
formal.
that's only happening when you're going to your conference annually, right? There's not like a continue...
This I'm
throughout the
talking
year?
about in between. but,
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I found interesting is that sometimes you go out through the East Branch and so forth, you see, and only because of your tutelage on this particular topic, you can see that blue-green algae that we think it is may not be in the reservoirs. You see it along the shores, kind of like what that one picture depicted there. So I wonder, well, I guess once it goes through the filter plants and all that kind of stuff, and they treat it with the way they treat it, it probably is filtered
I mean,
away.
We talk about it for the Joint Waterworks,
Yeah.
right? Especially over at Amawak. That one, there's a lot that goes into treating that water.
Yeah.
But I haven't had specific conversations with them about, blue-green algae. We haven't had-
Microcystin.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sure that that's probably something that they monitor for.
Yeah, probably something different, but it looks like it, you know.
Yeah. But no, this has been an issue in water supplies around the country.
Right.
It has been, and there is guidance on what to do and what the toxin level is. They say, I guess it's 1 part per billion or 1 microgram per liter or 0.1 or something.
10 parts per billion is for recreation. Was the World Health Organization.
Yeah, no, it's 1. They say that if you're drinking that in drinking water and consuming it every day, all year long, forever, at that level of 1, there's no impact.
You don't turn green.
Right.
Don't turn to Kermit.
Okay, so just continuing on to other things that we're involved in besides blue-green algae, because we are involved in a couple of other things. We've been participating in the town of Yorktown's Battle of Yorktown and Great Flow cleanup, and in some other cleanups, an ongoing cleaning up of our own. The picture there is of Rock Hill Park, Tall Timbers Park, and a cleanup we did in the southern end, and we did another one in the northern end in the spring. And on Mohegan Avenue, just as you leave Route 6, and when you pass CVS and the Learning Center, there's a piece of town park land there that was donated by the developers as a condition of their development to the town. We just cleaned that on the Great Fall cleanup.
How was it? Because I remember you and I were there last I don't even know. Last fall?
Years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they had some pretty gnarly stuff in there.
It was pretty bad. There were a lot of fresh leaves, and so it hit a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it was relatively light there.
This time around.
Yeah,
But the
this
last
time
time we cleared.
In the spring, you can get a lot.
Yeah, you get a lot of.
Yeah, we got a lot in
right.
the spring.
Right.
When you say you get a lot, you're talking about the leaves, or you're talking
No,
about
litter.
tires?
No, litter.
Litter.
Like
Litter.
Because those are
tires and-
tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not really
No,
sure how they rolled their way to the park.
And in Tall Timbers, we basically felt like
Shame on you.
We were working on what was a garbage dump 40 years ago. We were pulling out all kinds of huge pieces of rusted metal things that we brought out of there this past Saturday. The other thing, we maintain a hiking trail in Rock Hill Park that we.
Yep.
Laura is the maintainer.
We had a great hike there for this year's Mohegan Lake Day, right?
No, that was Tall
No,
Timbers.
that was Tall Timbers. I'm sorry. This
Yeah.
is Rock Hill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Another thing we've done
We did
is
Rock Hill the year before. Thank you.
we assist in weed harvesting at Sparkle Lake. That's a Mohegan picture, but it's the weed harvester. So we have a great collaboration going with the Parks and Rec
How
department.
has the weed harvester been working out at this point?
Been working out very well. We had some mechanical issues for the first time this year. We had to replace a starter motor. We had to replace a hydraulic motor on the cutting blades. So it's now beginning to get older. So parts go.
What is it? 6 years old now? 7? It's close to.
Yeah, it might be
5 or 6, I think.
Do
right?
you guys own it? As
Town owns it.
The town. So it's on the list with Parks and Rec.
As one of their pieces of
Yes,
equipment?
I'm just wondering where it is. Because everything has to be a line item.
It's
So
a
I'm
great,
learning.
that's a great question. I'm not sure.
So I'm just curious
I
to
know
what
they-
book
I know-
it's in.
I think it's probably with Parks. I know they winterize it and they keep it over at Sparkle Lake.
Yes.
Okay, so it might be in their book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we should probably think of a better place to store it because
Well,
this past winter.
Well, I don't
some
know
issues.
about how good the place is right now, but
Yeah.
it's shrink wrapped right now.
Yep.
They built a structure. They
Yep.
put things to suck up
Yep.
humidity and some vents in, and then they shrink wrapped it like you see, the
Yep.
white, one big white marshmallow now, like you see
Right.
marinas do.
It's gonna blend in with the snow. We're good.
This is, of course, Tall Timbers, which you were referring to, Matt. To the left is when we were
Yep.
doing our last big construction, which is building the steps. To the right is an Eagle Scout project to build a puncheon on a wetlands crossing. And we have,
You missed the best photo. The one of Councilman
Yes.
Diana. There he is.
Yeah.
Where am I? Oh,
Look
there
at
I
those
am.
Now,
legs.
I never knew.
Even better legs on birds.
I never knew Councilman Diana hiked, so I found out.
Neither did
something-
I.
Neither did he.
That
All
was-
right.
No, it's great. That was the Lake Day hike that kicked off Lake Day that morning, and we are proposing a very small addition to make a second complete loop trail on the southern end, far away from Ivy Road, where neighbors had concerns. So
Yep.
that will go to the Rec Commission spring of 2023.
Get ready, Lou. It's coming for you.
My kids love that.
We've been maintaining with bubble gum and duct tape and whatever a homemade aeration system. We do the weed harvesting. Picking up lake litter, by the way, is a real task. And our summer kids go out in a motorboat around the lake, and they're picking floating cans and bottles and plastic bags and all sorts of stuff. So that is an ongoing task through the summer season.
Yep.
And then invasive species, the only one I'll talk about, because we have a number, is water chestnuts. They could really endanger the viability of a water body. You see a couple of sample plants. They often grow in a mother-daughter kind of configuration like that. But that's sitting on my paddle board from a few years ago. The seeds that drop off of that can stick around in the bottom of the lake for 15 years before they germinate and float around to different places. So you can't eradicate them just like that. So we were on, I believe, year 12 since we saw them all around the areas of the lake. Now it's getting very hard to find them this year.
Good.
There's still, probably 50 plants or more pulled out this year, but it's not. When we first started, we were just filling up whole boatloads of plants. They were all over. So we think we've almost got that problem solved. Now, to the really tough issues, and I'm moving on from a review of this year to our short-term plans. We have a phosphorus problem. That's what feeds blue-green algae growth. That's something scientifically very well known. So we have to deal with two things. The phosphorus that's already in the lake, that's accumulated since probably the early 1900s or before, and the phosphorus that continues to come into the lake. So this is looking at what's in the lake already. And what's in the lake already is in the sediment. And it's released from the sediment in the summertime when you get a deprivation of oxygen at the sediment-water interface. Aeration is what can decrease the amount of release of phosphorus because it helps oxygenate the sediment-water interface. That's where the $100,000 grant that Senator Harcum helped secure for us, and there's now an executed contract for that, so you're about to have to vote on advertising the RFP, and we hope to be having a shovel in the ground in the spring and have it operational for next summer.
That $100,000 going to cover the full cost, or you don't think?
So
obviously you don't know until you get you get it back. But
of some quotes that we had gotten, the one we liked the best happened to be the most expensive at the time, and it was about $240,000.
Okay.
So $100,000, if we go with that, is only a portion.
Right.
We have been squirreling away fund balance. Don't tell Pat Caporal.
She's listening. Don't worry.
No, she knows.
She's listening to every word you're saying right now.
She knows very well. I've been worried that the state at some point would come in and say, hey, you got to return this to the taxpayers.
You don't have to worry about the state. You got to worry about Pat.
But we've been squirreling it away for this kind of project for a long time. So we have the funds in place to do it, even if it's $240,000 or more.
Okay.
That will be a 2023 project.
It's exciting.
Coupled with that, we've had a number of vendors that we've interviewed who do kind of an innovative approach where they combine aeration with the introduction of bacteria that eats the muck at the bottom of the lake. And the muck at the bottom of the lake is very rich in phosphorus. When we had a study done by a lake management intern from SUNY Oneonta, he actually physically measured in the deepest parts of the lake 20 feet of what he called unconsolidated sediment. So there's a lot of muck in there that's organic stuff that's accumulated, and it's like a reservoir of phosphorus. So what we want to try in the short term, and hopefully in 2023, and we may have trouble with DEC on getting it permitted. They're very skeptical about it. It's not something that's been accepted into wide use. It's used in sewage treatment plants, by the way, things like this, as well as alum, but not in this context. But we hope to experiment with that and try using that. And if we do that and it works, we would be hopefully backing off of the copper treatments.
Okay.
And last of all, there are other treatments that are alternatives to copper. Some, in our view, are more toxic, and we won't want to go in that direction. There's one that's basically a hydrogen peroxide kind of product. So it breaks down into water and oxygen. So there's no real downside to once it's done its job. Blue-green algae happens to be very sensitive to that. The problem with it is like copper sulfate. Copper sulfate just drops through the water column into the sediment very quickly, in 24 hours, and it does whatever it does, and then it doesn't do anything but sit in the sediment. This at least doesn't sit in the lake, but it also is very fast acting. The state did a pilot project the same time they did the alum pilot, and the results we heard, they weren't very impressed. There's now a new product that we've been introduced to out of Israel, and it's been registered in the U.S. with EPA and with New York State. That's got more of a slow release hydrogen peroxide product. So we'll be looking at that and other alternatives for next year. Now the hard part, phosphorus that continues to come into the lake. We did kind of an educational piece on best practices for homeowners about a year ago, and we mailed it out to everybody in the district. We know that a lot more needs to be done to keep this in the fore of people's minds. But we also need to come up with a plan, and we need a real plan, because in order to get funding to remediate stormwater phosphorus, you need to know what you're asking for. So with the town, there was an application for a $30,000 planning grant from DEC. We were awarded the grant. We ran into some problems in moving it forward. I hope we're past that, but everything is in their hands at DEC right now, and we're just waiting for the program manager to review everything and see if we can move forward. If we can, the town board had already approved. We did an RFP. We selected a vendor. I've spoken with the vendor. They're still ready to start. So we're really hoping we'll be moving forward with that sooner rather than later.
You need us to push on DEC?
Robin, planning has been following up on it, so it's only been about 2 weeks since the last insurance thing that they requested on their...
something from the town board may be a little bit more...
I think right now we're waiting for a response from them, so if it doesn't come soon...
Yeah, I know Robin's all over it.
Yep. Then maybe pushing will be needed, but right now it's hard to say. In order to address the phosphorus coming in as part of the long-term strategy, short-term we want to develop a plan with some good engineering recommendations. Long-term, then we want to implement that plan. And there you're talking about real money. Catch basin inserts with phosphorus filtration cartridges are relatively simple, relatively inexpensive.
You did that with the Mohegan Ave retaining wall, right?
Yes. Now, one of the issues with that is it requires maintenance. If you don't clean out catch basins, they fill up with silt, cover up the cartridges get clogged with silt, and it all stops functioning.
Which is why we're trying to get the highway department a Vactor.
Exactly. So I'm putting in a plug for Dave Paganelli's budget here.
Endorsing Dave Paganelli's Vactor. You got it.
So I'm waiting on a quote from a company to come in with their own piece of equipment to vacuum out those 10 catch basins and to replace the cartridges. The cartridges themselves for just those 10 are $3,400.
Right.
So, and
For
they
all
need,
10, right?
Yeah, and there's probably I think there's a total of 17 cartridges in
Right.
those 10 catch basins.
Right.
They need to be replaced approximately every 2 years. So
It's already been 2 years. I feel like we just built that thing yesterday.
yeah, yeah.
Like a company that was going to do the maintenance and all that.
Nah, that's
Junior or Sparkle Lake, isn't it?
Yeah, that's over here at Junior. But that's they're not in the east of Hudson watershed.
Right. Unfortunately, if
Right.
you could
You
move
would
us
think,
over a
right?
little bit, we'd qualify. Divert the
They'd
outflow.
love to have you in there.
Divert it
Just got
from
to move the lake. Is that it?
No, just the outflow from the Hudson into the Croton Reservoir.
I'd love to have Mohegan
and
Lake in
we're
that
in.
thing. They'd be taking out phosphorus all day long.
So, there are hundreds of catch basins that are part of a system that feeds directly into the lake.
By the way, speaking of that, but maybe I don't know if you have. I'm sure you because I know you guys are all over it. But maybe looking at the East of Hudson contracts that they have, so maybe you can piggyback off of one of their vendors to do the clean out. Just a thought, because they're already doing all that work.
Yeah.
Right. So it
3D is the vendor I'm talking to right now. I don't know if they're one of the East of Hudson vendors or not.
Yeah. I mean, we can always put you in touch with Kevin. I'm sure he'd be willing to help you out with some of that stuff.
Them and Fabco is the manufacturer, and which East of Hudson has used.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, and I've talked to the East of Hudson folks for advice during this whole thing.
Perfect.
It was funny, Ken, but at one of the lake days you had, I was talking to a gentleman up there who had been on the lake forever. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He had said, when we had motorboats on this lake, we didn't have this problem, he told me.
Well, I happen to remember then, and they did have this problem.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
So that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Town law that motorboats up to 5 horsepower are allowed, not above 5 horsepower. So somebody who uses a motorboat for fishing right now with a trolling kind of motor, that's fine, but not above that. It's a whole other discussion. I don't think I'll skip diverting us into that.
Let's not go into that one right now.
But catch basin filters might be one solution. Manufactured treatment devices that go underground, and green stormwater infrastructure of various sorts. The other thing is even bigger, and that's sewering the balance of the Mohegan watershed. And
so moved.
There was well, the
Even
question.
Susan chuckled. Come on.
There's a couple of the people sitting here live in an area, the Mohegan Highlands area, where we got very steep slopes leading down to the lake.
Yep.
They submitted a petition probably a few years ago, resubmitted it a couple of years ago, but
What, in 16 probably you did that?
Yeah.
2016 maybe?
It's more recent than that, so within the last 2.
Yeah. But
Last 2.
nothing's happened with it, but there's a reason why the rest of the area right near them was sewered and they weren't sewered. It's because they're the hardest area to sewer. There's rock. It's going to be an expensive project. It's going to be beyond what the homeowners themselves can fund. So, and I'll return to that in a moment. In terms of the long-term strategy about the in-lake phosphorus, nutrient and activation, what Tom was talking about alum, if the state ever moves itself off the dime on alum or Phoslock, that might be something. What that does is basically the phosphorus in the sediment is bound with iron, and in the absence of oxygen, that bind breaks and the phosphorus goes up and feeds blue-green algae, etc. If it was bound with aluminum, that would be a more permanent bind, as an example, and Phoslock is another commercial product that's used. The flushing rate of the lake. We've had all sorts of problems with beaver dams and clogs of branches under culverts and clogs under the Route 6 culvert, the Mohegan Avenue culvert, but it's something that we have to stay on top of and find.
And I know our highway superintendent, he does a good job working with you on it.
Yeah.
Yep. Him and his beavers.
Last of all, and people have brought this up again and again, and it was looked at 30, 40 years ago, dredging. If you could dredge out some of that 20 feet of unconsolidated sediment in the middle of the lake and get rid of that huge store of
Yeah.
of nutrients that way, and deepen the lake, maybe open up underground springs that once existed, that theoretically could make a difference. But now you're talking about a multi-million-dollar project and all sorts of issues in trying to get it permitted. But this is long-term
Yep.
strategy.
Oh,
as a
that's great.
Possibility. Now, focusing on the town, you see number one, and I start with the shorter term, easier things, annual cleaning of the catch basins that feed directly into a sensitive water body. It shouldn't just be Mohegan Lake, but I'm here to advocate for Mohegan Lake. And we used to talk about this when we had the Stormwater Advisory Committee for the town. But it's important, and we've never seemed to be able to get there because of staffing levels, equipment, other priorities, etc. So it's something that has to be looked at year after year in planning and budgeting to be able to make it an ongoing practice.
Well, once we get the VAC tour, it's going to obviously enhance their efficiency considerably.
Yeah.
Dave knows the stats off the top of his head. I don't pretend to, but I mean, obviously they only get to a small portion of it because of the window that they're given. So once we get the right equipment, they're going to be able to double their time pretty quickly. So that at least that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Next, keeping the outflow stream clear. I just had MLID, our summer staff. I had a couple still on payroll that I sent over by the St. George's Winery to the stream there, and they just cleared the remnants of the beaver dam because when the water level went down, it exposed the balance of it. And I said, hey, let's try to get that stuff out. So rather than ask
Councilman
Dave,
Esposito, you can recruit him. He's great at that. Yeah. Number one. Number two, this is something that he was talking about when we were
Remember?
dealing with Osceola. Yeah.
I was trying to. We had discussed it to get the stream team back because on Osceola we had the same problem and
through those culverts.
Yeah, and there's one particular culvert that just always gets dammed up, and you know we were in the culvert. And we went and freed up a lot of the debris, and Osceola Lake went down almost like within 4 hours.
Yeah,
it was amazing. And yeah, so we talked about getting the stream team back in. So how did it work in the past? They were just volunteers that they came in for the summertime.
I think
right?
But there were interns, summer interns. Linda, it was
Yeah, I mean
under
they were
Linda,
paid, but they
Linda
weren't.
Cooper's time in office.
Yeah,
had
they
a
weren't
stream
like
team.
professionals or anything. They were just kids that you got, or how did it work? I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
it was
That's what I'm
done
asking.
under town supervision. Whether
Yeah, they were paid, and there was a grade 10 with them.
Right.
There's equipment involved. It's an undertaking.
Yeah.
Equipment for them, or equipment
I'm
they
with
use?
you. I think we need it.
What?
Yeah.
Equipment that they use to dig out, or
Yeah, and
they weren't with like you guys with the shovel.
HMEOs, and
Yeah,
the different type of.
Yeah, because you're dealing with down trees and
Yes.
logs that
Yeah.
come. You get a real bad storm, and all of a sudden you get all sorts of debris and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do chainsawing. You got to do all
Right.
sorts of things. Okay, moving along. We're almost at the end here. We get to progressively into the harder things. Sewer expansion. So I'm just wondering if any of the infrastructure dollars that's out there, or any that will be coming with the state's Environmental Bond Act, for instance, can be used to at least get a feasibility study going for the existing petition in Mohegan Lake.
We sure hope.
And then we have other areas. I'm on septic, and my backyard has wetlands that goes down to the lake. My area isn't sewered. So if we get at least the first steps of that moving, I know it's going to be a multi-year project, but we're not at square one yet on that.
Yeah.
So I know Hallett's Mill has been a big effort to move that along, and it's great. But if we can get started in Mohegan, and the same thing for the stormwater phosphorus mitigation. We got to both get the design work done, which I hope I'll be able to do with this DEC planning grant,
Right.
and then start applying for funding.
Yep.
And then look at the ongoing maintenance implications of what you put in.
Yep.
How that's going to be funded. Last of all, on what's needed, I knew I'd be criticized by some members of our community if I didn't add this in, because there's been a plan for Rock Hill Park.
Did PJ make you do it?
That's who I had in mind.
Did he
as
make you put this
criticizing
slide
me. But no, there's been a plan, and there just hasn't been the funding for it. I know it's been thought of in some of the local waterfront revitalization plan applications and things, but just keep in mind, you and the Rec Commission, I know they have it in mind as well. That this is a project that would be wonderful if it was
It'd be
done
great.
and create a new recreational opportunity for the northwest section of town.
Yes, sir.
That's, by the way, a photo from our closing event of Lake Day. We do it every year. Chinese floating lanterns at dark. It's really beautiful. But I just want to close by thanking the town board and town staff, and it's so many staff that we work with. I work with the assessor to get lists for mailing. I work, of course, with the clerk's office and the town comptroller all the time, and Parks and Rec Commission. We've got this collaboration with the Harvester where we're sharing labor expenses, etc. So it's really been a great working relationship, and we really appreciate it, and I thank the town board for that.
Well, this has been a great presentation, Ken.
Really good, Ken.
Very well done, very detailed, and Mohegan Lake really is a gem in this community. So, and you're leading the way in a lot of ways. Leading the way in a lot of ways.
The sense of ownership from the lake community is amazing,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Does anybody want to add anything?
Randall, how's my dock?
It's going great.
Okay. If you want to just come up to the
mic.
come up to the mic.
Talked about the expense of the treatments we do is approximately $41,000 and change. There's also additional expense in the test strips that we how much are those?
I think it was about $280 for a pack of 5.
Okay.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
additional cost in it. And even when the Department of Health closes it down, the lake, doesn't mean people can't swim or boat in it and,
Right.
and whatnot. And I'd just like to add, I still swim in it. So
And you're not green.
I'm not green.
No, they regulate 2 beaches, and I showed you on the map that there were 7. And then there's people who own homes
Right.
around the lake. We try to get out notification to share information as best we can. We were at one point when beaches were closed or when we have a treatment where we want people to stay out of the water during the treatment and off the lake even with boats during the treatment, and then no swimming for 24 hours. We were putting notices on people's docks all around the lakes. There's kind of a labor intensive just getting the word out. I wish we could electronically to everybody, but we don't have those contacts. The 5 beaches that aren't regulated, I have the same notice posted about blue-green algae. When we start seeing it, we post a warning notice, and when they suggest that there shouldn't be swimming, I'll have another notice that we post. But people don't necessarily follow it, and when people go in the afternoon, like you saw in that August 28th picture, and see pretty clear-looking water in one of the unregulated beaches, they don't swim. The second thing is the question of whether we should have regulated beaches on Mohegan Lake. And the health department kind of even pushed me a little by sending me the rules for whether a beach needs to get a permit or not. And I know Mohegan Beach Park really doesn't need one. The regulations say specifically that if you're a private homeowners association or private incorporated or unincorporated group of homeowners and the beach is dedicated just to those people and their friends and guests, that you're not required to file for a permit.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved the fact that we have had the permits. They do E. coli testing weekly. They make sure your lifeguards have all the safety equipment. So there's safety benefits in my view and liability benefits, but people are very frustrated, and I don't be surprised if there aren't permit applications next year from the 2 beaches that apply for them. I don't know if there will or won't be.
Yeah, well, I know it sounds like obviously the bureaucracy that you deal with, whether from DOH or from DEC, is quite burdensome. So if we can be helpful in that way.
Sounds like government.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But if we can be helpful in that way to provide support for MLID, we're more than happy to do it. If we can provide support on the state level, we're more than happy to do it, interfacing with DEC. I still say, Mohegan Lake and your organization is really a regional leader when it comes to water quality, especially for lakes. And I think that you guys are really forging ahead in some really special ways. So we appreciate your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kenny,
Thanks, Ken.
Kenny. Important question. Are you going to be running in this year's turkey trot this Thursday?
He's thinking about
Crawling?
it. I don't know about running.
I'm giving a plug for the turkey
I'll
trot.
be there.
You'll be there?
I'll be there.
8:30 on
What-
Front
what-
Street, correct? Oh,
8:30.
great.
Yeah, we have a whole.
you guys
we
there?
have a whole
Matt's going to
team.
run. I'm going to go and watch.
We will see you there.
Charlie's running.
Is he?
Yeah. All right, we'll see
All,
you guys
all I'm
there.
saying is I want to skip the turkey trot. I want to skip the next few months, and I want Lake Day to come back like tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always fun.
It's
Well,
always
thank
a
you
lot of
again.
fun.
All right, with that, if there's no other business, we can make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Wait a minute, nobody got pointed at.
All right, Yorktown, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.